If I were a racist, I'd come up with a plan. I'd give them just enough money so they wouldn't need a man. The father rebuked, but the mother will miss him when all of her sons are raised by the system. And what would I call this act of piety? I know, I'll call it the Great Society. No need for family. I'll take God out of schools. You can worship the government, just obey all the rules. But to be a great racist, I'd need to find a way to decrease the numbers of black, brown, and, hey, abortion. But with a little more stealth, I'll fool the whole world and call it women's health. But still, some will be born, so we'll need to confuse them. We could turn men into women and women into men. I think that'll do it. That'll do the trick. But still, there will be others, so we'll need to make them sick with food or drugs, surely in time. We could also infest their neighborhoods with crime. And the people will love me, no matter what the fuss is, because I'll do all of these things and call it justice. Now, this plan will cost money, so I'll impose more tax on the people who already break their backs. Who cares? They can nickel and dime it. And get this, I'll blame it all on the climate. No more comfort, no more convenience, no more oil, no gasoline. It's going to be amazing. I mean, this is a hell of a plan. Why even worry about the color of a man? Black, white, gay, or straight? For total control, I need to stir up hate and divide every single person by their simple beliefs. They might even call me the liberty thief, because I'll take all their freedoms, and it'll be tough, I confess. How will I do it? I'll use the press. They'll spread the word and the propaganda for years until one day a new virus appears. That's when the feces really hits the fan blades, because I'll have forced vaccines and mask mandates. I could shut down schools and control elections, stuff all the ballots, section by section. And poverty will replace the American dream while the oligarch siphons the war machine. But if I'm really going to do this, if I'm really going to own it, I need to get rid of my political opponents. I could twist the laws and accuse them of crimes. It shouldn't be too hard. The judges are mine. Not to mention the prosecution. This is how it's done. Screw the Constitution. But for my masterpiece, my greatest iteration, I'll replace every patriot with illegal immigration. So that's it. That's how I'll do it. And with the competition gone, I'll be a shoo-in. So, a racist and a tyrant? Well, don't call me that. I need to be discreet. Call me a Democrat.
Wow. All right, guys. It is Monday, and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have a hot panel of co-hosts tonight. Of course, we have, let's see here, the co-hosts, we have Shelly E., we have Yana, and of course, back with us every Monday as usual, Tyrone Keys of Soldiers of Finance. And new tonight, our guest co-host is Hotep Jesus. He's a tech entrepreneur and author. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you all tonight.
What's up? What's happening?
All right. So as I always say, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're on YouTube and Rumble. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. Here on YouTube, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us, subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, folks, let's set it off tonight. So again, I'm super excited to have our special guest with us tonight, Hotep Jesus. We're going to get right into the conversation. I see we already have a super chat, so let me acknowledge that from Chaotic Truth Live with the $5 super chat. Says Africa has a vast amount of land with many areas that are considered unused or underutilized. All right. Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit of that a little later in the episode, but I want to start. You guys saw that beginning a video. That's a viral video. What do you think of that, Shelly? What was your thoughts on what he said in that video?
I can't remember his name, but I thought it was clever. I thought it was concise, and I thought it was clear and correct. You know, I like alliteration. So all of those things, it was right to the point. So hey, keep it going.
All right. Yeah. What about you, Yana? He mentioned a lot of things there, a lot of stuff that we talk about as far as communism and Marxism. What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was poetic, it was smart, and I think we have the smartest people on the right. So I'm not surprised.
Okay. And what about you, Tyrone?
It was accurate. That's for sure.
Yeah. And what about you, Hotep?
I hated it.
Oh,
I hated
Why
every
did you
last
hate it?
minute. I hated every last minute of that video.
okay. And
Um,
what did you dislike about it?
I mean, you know, it was corny. It was a bag of corn chips.
Okay.
You know, yeah, you know, you get an A for effort, right? You know, he tried to do the whole rhymey thing, and you know, that's cool and all. That, you know, I agree with the subject matter. But yeah, you know, it's gonna have to get 2 thumbs down for me. It was a bag of corn chips.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like how did not like the style of it. I could have seen like somebody like doing like a spoken word kind of thing with it. But I did
You
like
could have called somebody. It was a sister, a
yeah,
brother, somebody somewhere could have hooked him up, and it,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But
I mean,
it was the
it was
delivery
his
for you.
way of doing
yeah.
it. Like, I mean, I don't see a problem if, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's his way of for example, I wouldn't be able to speak the same way as someone else. So,
Right.
I mean, we're just picking on this guy's, I don't know, speaking way
No,
of.
no, not picking on him per se. We just giving an opinion on whether we like the style
But
of
I mean, the message, I was talking about the message itself and how he went through like a history of issues that we have literally talked about on the show, and you know, ending with the pandemic and the vaccines. I mean, we've talked about all that. So if you're just focusing on the content, I mean, I thought it was clever.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think all of us said we liked the content. Maybe the style was off. It was a little off. But yeah, and a lot of the content we have talked about on this show, and we're going to talk about a little bit of it tonight. So I want to get into this video that you put out, Hotep, and kind of talk about what you are putting forth in that. This is clip 3.
The entire money laundering system is predicated upon a problem. The entire siphoning of tax dollars to steal is predicated upon you. And a lot of these blue cats know this. And that's what they want. They want a budget, because every time you come up with a problem, they create a committee. That committee comes with a budget. And then that budget is taxpayer dollars, let's say, right? And what they do with this budget is they pay people. Some of that money goes to consultants. Now, the consultants are looking at it like, yo, we're getting, you know, $500,000 off of this committee a year. How do we keep this revenue stream going? You cannot solve the problem. So what it becomes is it becomes a marketing scheme where the committees aren't solving problems. They're marketing the problem to raise money to keep the game going. So every time you bring up new problems and things for the Democrats and Republicans and the government to solve, you're just trying to figure out a new black hole to send money into. And it's not even a black hole. The money is literally going to individuals.
All right. So I liked what you said in that video, Hotep. Can you expand on that? Because before you do, I just want to say when I saw that, it made me think of how we see specifically on the Democrat side or on the left, where we see a lot of Marxism and communism brought out in that video, because that's what they want to do. So they can't have our industry or our country thrive right now, because if that were the case, the idea of the Marxists or communists is to have us fighting one another, class warfare, race warfare, so they can overthrow the system. And so when we see them kind of throwing money at everything, it's not really to fix the problem. It's sort of just to keep it going until we can until we can come into some type of warfare, whether it be class or race. But what did you think of? What were you trying to
look at any problem that these politicians carry on? It's all marketing of the problem, whatever the problem may be, but it's marketing of the problem. So they market the problem and collect the dollars in facilitating the marketing of the problem. I got a quote. It says, your problems are politicians' solutions. So all of your problems become solutions to his problems. Because as long as you got problems, he's got something to campaign on. As long as you got problems, he can feed his family, put his kids through college, go on tours, publish books, etc., etc. But when you have these problems, again, they create budgets. These budgets go to friends and family, and then the cycle continues, right? That's why it's very important. So if you see something like police brutality, they'll put a lot of marketing dollars behind police brutality, and then all they do is produce like a study or something like, oh, look at some statistics that we found. Oh, so you raised all that money to show us a paper on a problem that we already knew we had. This is what we do with our time. Come on, stop it. So, none of that makes sense. But you mentioned Marxism and communism, right? And in practice, these things are parasitic. They need a host. They need somebody to live off of. Socialism needs somebody to live off of. When we look at all the color revolutions, including the Bolshevik Revolution, all these things had money men behind them. Whether it be Wall Street, agents of the British Empire, it doesn't matter. It was funded by the oligarchs. We got to stop acting like these things were organic. These things weren't organic. They were created specifically to create a balance of power throughout Europe. And then the British Empire had the ability to expand into, as we know, South Africa, and everybody knows New Zealand, Australia, right? And the list goes on in British Empire, or what they call the Commonwealth. So, again, coming back to the point, communism, Marxism, all of that stuff is in practice parasitic. And the thing that it's latching onto is your problem. So once you learn to solve your own problems, the parasite dies.
Yeah, I want to get you in on this, Tyrone, as our kind of money man here. What did you think of that video and what Hotep just said?
No, it's absolutely correct. You see it in practice with the 501c3 mafia out in California, for example, the homelessness issue. Now, they put more money into that issue than ever before, yet the problem is bigger than it has ever been. And those, 501c3s out there, they're not in the business of one day shutting themselves down because they've solved the problem. They're just in the business of getting larger and larger. So they actually, to piggyback on what Hotep said in terms of the parasitic nature of it, they just live to become a Leviathan, feeding off of the problem, getting larger and larger. Now, we also see it with the military-industrial complex when you look at all of the incentive that the United States has around starting and maintaining martial conflicts. Right now, and in many cases, we send money to both sides to keep strife and rancor going because that's good for the bottom lines of Raytheon, General Dynamics, Lockheed, and others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I like that Hotep took it a little global. Tyrone brought it a little bit nationally. So I want to focus a little bit on what I'm going to call the more local level. First of all, the theory that Hotep laid out, I think is very applicable to our congressmen, our senators, regardless of party. Both of our party leaders, if you will, spend spend and spend. They want to tax and spend. You don't see 99.9% of them trying to reduce taxes and or their spending of our tax money. But what you do see is billions of dollars of waste every year, whether it's on travel, port projects, taking money back home to their districts, or whatever other spending. You don't see many of them writing themselves out of a position or a job. You see them going to this country or this particular country to study things that need to be corrected in the United States of America, when we already know the answer. Allow people to have more of their own money, and they tend to work out their own problems. The government, I think it was Ronald Reagan who said it, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Those words are not comforting. They should not be comforting. They should cause a lot of fear and trembling, and you should run the other way. Many Americans, millions of Americans, too many of us have our hands out, if you will, asking for, what is the government going to do for me? That's not what the government is primarily for. Is there a safety net that's needed maybe for the least of them? To a degree, that can be argued, maybe that can be sustained and supported. But by and large, our government, both parties, again, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for him for the third time, but he spent more money in his administration than the previous administration as a Republican. Both sides, they get zero pats on the back from me.
All right, Yana, I want to get you in on this, but before I do have to acknowledge our super chatters here. Guys, thank you so much. All right, we have Chaotic Truth again. Chaotic Truth live with a $2.50 super chat. Says, great show. Thank you so much, Chaotic. Kung Fu CJ with a $2 super chat. He says, divide and conquer is the goal. Thank you so much, Kung Fu. And Steven with the $2 super chat says, love the show. Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate you. LaShawn with the $2 super chat says, good money laundering going on. All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Jeff Arrington with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Jeff. All right. Yana, what are your thoughts on this video and also what everyone said?
Well, I mean, totally, taxes are parasitic, absolutely. And the whole idea of how the government basically lives on these programs that they create. I mean, I think Thomas Sowell talked about this. When the government tries to solve unemployment, they just have more employees, like staff, who are going to work on how to solve unemployment. So they end up paying more government employees in order to maintain these systems in the welfare system and things like that. I mean, my question though, so this was based on Hotep's video. What is the system that we should be working towards? What is your suggestion of, I guess, an ideal system?
A theocratic fascist dictatorship under the rule of Hotep Jesus in the great land of Hotepistan.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
We have a utopia, a wonderful communist fascist utopia awaits you in Hotepistan.
Oh my gosh. Is that it?
Is any follow-up questions?
I mean, I don't know how to. I mean, if that's a joke, I mean, I was asking.
You might think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I'm dead ass.
I know, I'm not laughing. I was asking a serious question based on the video, because I don't know if it was a whole video. And are you expanding more on the system that we should be striving towards?
Expand on what system? The current
Well,
system?
you were criticizing the current system that most governments have, and I agree with that. So we, on this show, we talk about solutions and what should we be working towards, or what should we be changing? What is your ideal society?
Get the hell out. That's my call to action. Get the hell out. Come to Hotepistan and build your own.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Why are we messing around here? I personally, I ain't got time for the politics game. That's just me personally. Now, do I think that people that do political work is important? Absolutely. I'll throw something at your fund or whatever it is. But personally, I'm thinking about building my own utopia.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Is there a physical place that exists?
Absolutely.
Is there a visa requirement?
Yep. We have a very stringent background check.
What are the main criteria of getting citizenship?
I can't tell you that. That's confidential.
So how could the person apply if they don't know?
We're not applying yet. We're going to write people.
There's no application process for Hotep Nation. We don't want your application. We're not asking for any residence. We probably don't want you.
Okay. So you already have enough people.
Yes.
No, just that you don't want you.
No, we have enough people. We currently have enough people for our utopia. Yes, we do. That is facts. And many more will be coming. Don't worry. At one point, you're going to be in line. I'm not concerned about that. But as of today, we're not recruiting. We're not looking for new members. Do not look for us.
No, I see what you're saying, because I know with especially you are Hotep Jesus, and so with a Hotep movement is about self-sufficiency. So as you mentioned, right? Okay, right. So self-sufficiency. So people in this place where you're talking about be self-sufficient about their own stuff. Health, money, all of that is self-sufficiency. Is that right or no?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the government comes around, they say they want to help, and that sounds like danger signs to me, right? So that means I want nothing to do with this thing, this beast of a government. Nothing. The less contact I have with it, the better, right? So that's about.
What is the system that is going to be in the Hotepistan?
What do you mean? What system? System for what? We have many systems.
Governance
system? A theocratic fascist dictatorship.
I see. Okay.
Well,
that's your place. I see what you're saying. We do have a couple other super chatters here, I believe. Let me
God, authority, and decision making. Those are the key pieces of creating a utopia. See, people, the first step is people leave out God. You have a godless nation. You live in America, but this is a godless nation. We must restore God first. Then we are going to lay down law and order. That is fascism. We are going to take control of all resources. But we'll operate as a free market. People don't understand these type of things. China's is executing this right now. That's another story for another day. They're actually raising money. Anyway. Money Man could probably tell you about that. But anyway, coming back, I'm probably telling you too much. But anyway, God first. We got to lay down the law. I mean, this concept of American freedom was a bad idea. People don't need freedom.
Okay, so you really do. I mean, that's your opinion. There. I mean, I was rolling with you until you said utopia. I personally don't believe that we can achieve utopia here. On Earth, there's no utopia. So I don't see how you could do that. But I do.
What's your definition of utopia?
Perfection.
Okay. So never any problems, not even a slight little scuffle here and there every once in a while can't happen in a utopia. Has to be 100%.
I mean, not how I see it. Utopia means perfection.
Okay.
So there will be no problems really because there's only solutions. So it would be that's utopia.
Oh, it's going to be some problems in Hotepistan. We're going to have problems, and that's the thing. That's the thing about people. They're not honest about, the life, right? They're going to always be problems.
Right.
The question is, can you get through them?
Right.
Well, no, which problem also as well, yes. But can you get through them?
True.
And as long as you believe you can get through your problems, you live in a utopia.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
All right. Well, I want to move it on. I want to move it along. I want to talk next about what's been going on in the news recently Well, before I do that, let me get to the super chats. I think we do have additional super chats here. Let me see here.
Kelson.
Yeah. Okay. Kelson with the $10 super chat says, Hotepistan is real. All right.
Thank you, Kelson.
Thank you so much, Kelson. All right. So I want to get into what has really been in the news recently. And that is the Democrats and Kamala Harris really coming hard against men. So take a look at this. This is a video of, I believe it's MSNBC, where they're basically saying these men need therapy. Take a look, clip 2.
Is actually for all men. You know, I think men are in crisis, actually, in this country. I think that plays out different ways. And not all men are in crisis, of course. And not all men are just at home listening to Joe Rogan, being angry or being recruited to fascism. Some just need therapy, like we all do. I go to therapy, that's great. But I think we need to have a real conversation about that rather than allowing this kind of drift toward this faux masculinity that we see Donald Trump evincing.
And what I see is...
All right. I want to start off with you, Tyrone, on this. We've been seeing this lately in the news. They've been coming at men pretty hard, specifically Black men. So, you know, do you need therapy?
No, I don't. But, you know, this is, and we talked about this on the Guys Show a couple of weeks ago, I think. I think this is just more of the manifestation of feminism allowed to run wild in the media. It's funny that we live in this country right now that doesn't really face any major military threat. So, you know, it's easy to deride a concept like masculinity when, you know, the women here, they don't need to fear, you know, looking at a man in the wrong way or, you know, saying the wrong thing. They can go out and get whatever type of employment that they seek. Women are doing very well in that regard. So one of the decadent aspects of where we are today as a society is that we have to create a whole bunch of problems. And the latest problem is, oh, we don't need masculinity, so let's deride it. So you see more and more of it. It's been coming for, it's been, you know, manifesting for a long time. But I think at the end of the day, as history unfolds, something will happen and women will be all too happy to get back into the kitchen and start making sandwiches, as opposed to being on somebody's front line and really dealing with serious issues that we've seen crop up around the world and in our history.
All right. Hotep, what are your thoughts on that video? Is this what the left really thinks about men who vote for Trump or men who reject Kamala?
You sure you want my answer?
Absolutely. This is not a dictatorship here. Everyone is free to exercise their thoughts and opinions.
Put me on the big screen.
Okay.
If you vote for Trump, you definitely need therapy. I said it. I said it. You need therapy. First of all, as a grown-ass man, why are you voting? That's first of all. As a grown-ass man, why are you voting? Only person that got my vote is me. Nah, in all seriousness. Yes and no. It's a yes and no situation. Because some of these MAGA people, from the Black perspective, we've got two enemies. At the same time, while we're trying to point out how racist the Democrat policies are, the MAGA people don't exactly be pristine and beacons of light. There's a lot of little racist innuendos and stuff, and you know, it's not exact. So we have enemies on both sides as Black people. I just gotta say that. So it's a very difficult task. So I say, you know, for example, when we talk about a MAGA voter, these are the same MAGA voters that said this Black pilot went through a DEI program. He's a DEI pilot. Oh my God, the plane gonna fall out the sky because DEI pilot. This is what I call the woke right. Everybody, y'all don't remember that?
No. Do you have a quote or?
Oh man, this is Charlie Kirk. Y'all know who Charlie Kirk is?
I know who he is. I don't follow him.
Okay, you know who Charlie Kirk
Yeah, I know.
is.
I know who Charlie Kirk is, but we're talking about Trump and Kamala.
What I'm saying is, the woman said, "Do the men that support Donald Trump need therapy?" And what I'm saying is, Charlie Kirk might need some therapy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see.
You
So
see what I'm saying?
Some people. Okay.
Some of them. That's why I said it's a yes or no. You know, like if you talking about me, you know, I got my MAGA hat right here. You feel what I'm saying? Like I got no problem saying, I like Trump. I got no problem saying I support Trump's candidacy. You know, but some of these people do need therapy.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, probably people like that on both sides.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the Black community. Well, Black community primarily votes for the left. So really, it's just like, I mean, are we going to continue voting that way, or are we going to use our, exercise our economic power and our right to maybe do something differently and not be taken advantage of by the political party that we continually to vote for, and we really get nothing in return for it? But I want to bring you in, Shelley, on this. What are your thoughts?
So I was listening to Hotep, and I wanted to make at least a clarification in my mind. You started off, you compared the Democrat Party to the MAGA, I guess, section or faction of the Republican Party. So I was a little, maybe not sure, because you didn't compare party to party, because the things that you described happens on both sides, maybe to a larger or lesser degree, one or the other. So that was my little confusion.
Well,
initially.
I said that. Yeah.
Okay. So number two, this lady in particular, I find it, hypocritical at best. If a woman can say what a man needs or shouldn't do or say, but let a man tell her what to do with her body, then, he has no place to do that. He has no standing. He has no right. So that's my problem with that. Not only that, interestingly enough, she didn't say, she kind of couched over the Black men being told by Obama, because I don't think she wanted to go down this. So she wanted to couch it under all men. No, what she really wanted to say, I believe, is that she wants Black men to get therapy, because this is who Obama was addressing his comments to. And so this woman, in my never to be humble opinion, she is running scared like the rest of Kamala Harris's group or campaign is doing so.
Damn.
Okay.
Shit. You got to fan your mic off after that.
Yana, what are your thoughts on what was just said?
Well, in terms of what that lady said, therapy, psychology, that's actually very much rooted in Marxism. And the same therapists, the same psychologists are the ones that tell children that they can, chop up their body and take hormones and change their gender. So these therapies, who knows what is the result of therapy? Depends on what kind of therapy you're getting. And really, people on both sides everywhere, what they need is they need God and not a psychologist, because who knows what the psychologist is really pushing. And like I said, psychology is very much linked to Marxism. They were kind of developing hand in hand at the same time. And in terms of racism, that's what Hotep said about racism. Racism is something that is not just a white issue. I mean, there are plenty of white racists, but there's also plenty of Black racists or Asian racists or Arab racists. So, and I feel like it's a global thing, a phenomenon that just exists, and we have to strive not to see race, because that's the only way that we can live in a society and see each other as human beings.
All right. And did I get you in here, Tyrone?
I started it out, but
Okay.
no, just to go a little further with what Yana was saying, it's tribalism. I mean, it worked well maybe before we became a global community and you wanted to identify outsiders. But I mean, hey, if we're going to be a global community at some point, we're going to have to evolve past tribalism. It's funny how our technology really advances very, very quickly, far outpaces our maturity as a species. So, when we look at these issues, a lot of them, if we really take a couple of steps back, it has more to do with the socioeconomic strata most times than it does with a particular color of someone's skin. I mean, there are people in Appalachia right now that are figuring out that they're no better off than people in West Baltimore, Walbrook Junction, where I grew up, when it comes to what the government will or will not do for them. Okay, two different skin colors, but same socioeconomic class and the same ill treatment or just lack of attention when your tax dollars have been put into a system that can't even now drop off food for you after you've had everything destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I do want to, let me see here. Actually, speaking of economics and things like this, I do want to share with you what we have coming up next. Take a look at this. Hey, Poppin' Politics family, we did it. We just hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting our movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. We're excited to share that we're launching a new project we can't wait to talk about on the show. It's something really special, but it's a bit too big for us to handle all on our own, and we'd love your help. This opportunity is all about meaningful remote work that fits into your life. Think of it as a flexible side gig. It pays well, but more importantly, it's a chance to make a real difference in America alongside us. We're looking for individuals who have a great work ethic, a big heart, and a friendly spirit. You must live in the US or Canada, be at least 18 years old, and have a computer or tablet and a phone to help make this project a success. If this sounds like something you'd be a good fit for, join us for a Zoom meeting on Saturday, October 19th. Here are the times. Now, I'm in the Eastern time zone, so it's 12 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific. We have limited seats available, so be sure to grab your spot. The link is in the description below. We can't wait to connect with you. Register now before it fills up. All right, guys. So we hope to see you on this Saturday, October 19th, for more information. All right. Want to acknowledge our super chat here. Strong Dag Protocol with the $5 super chat says, I'm not voting for these slimy politicians. I don't trust the government. Hotep and Bill. All right.
All right.
Well, there it is right there. I mean, I'm still voting. I definitely am voting. I personally don't see how not voting, at least yet. So, I had gotten kind of disenfranchised a little bit when people start talking about how they are stealing the election. Because if we are pushing the idea that the election is stolen, then that means why vote to me? I mean, what are you voting for if the whole system is manipulated? But I'm still going to vote. I'm going to vote. We have 21 days until the election, I believe.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so I'm still voting. I think everyone needs to vote. It's crunch time.
Get out and vote. Vote Trump. Get out and vote.
22 days. I'm sorry, 22 days we have. And personally, I believe if Kamala Harris is elected, those 11 million, I think some people say 20 million, but I know 11 million illegals in this country right now will be fast-tracked into citizenship. And so I am against that. I'm against all of it. And so that's why I believe we need to vote in this election. But
Yeah, I'll
again,
go further with that.
mhm.
I had contemplated, and I'm still, like in the future, does this make sense? If it really is so impactful, would they really allow us to do it? But to be quite honest, when you tell me that you demand that I do a particular thing, okay, like when Obama came out and the whole vibe, he just articulated it. The whole vibe had been, if you're black, you're supposed to do this, and we won't tolerate you doing anything other than that. She cooks collard greens in the bathtub. She listens to Tupac before he has actually recorded an album, and she smokes weed doing it. So when you tell me I have to do that, then I'm sorry, I have a defiant streak, and I'm going to do the exact opposite, and I'm going to be very loud and proud about it. So it remains to be seen whether or not that will mean anything, but that's just how I feel personally about this.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you're not the only one. Take a look at this. This is clip 6.
Barack Hussein Obama, the audacity of you to say to us that we are required and we better vote for Kamala Harris and that we don't want to see a woman in a position of power. You're a liar. I remember in June of 2010, I was in Baghdad, Iraq, and I watched your State of the Union address as a proud young black man to see a black president on the television. But I listened to you as you told the American people that we would not spend any additional resources in Baghdad or in Afghanistan, and we're going to bring our troops home in December of 2014. Right then and there, I knew you couldn't be trusted. Why? Because I'm watching them build sidewalks, build streets, and construct buildings in Baghdad, Iraq in 2010, as you say we're going to leave in 2014. So now that you get on a stage or a platform and try to bully us and belittle us and try to make the world believe that we're not intelligent enough to see what you and the demonic Democratic Party is doing, you're the biggest problem to black people, not the Republican Party. Just because our policies differ or our views differ or our perspectives and values differ, now you want to attack? No, Barack, you're a liar and you're part of the problem.
Wow. Shelley, what are your thoughts on what he said there?
I mean, I agree with him. I hope more and more men also agree with him, more black men in particular, because again, that's who Obama directed his comments. Not only were his comments condescending and, utterly pedantic, the way he treated those men that he was talking to, he even threatened to bring mommy. When your mama comes, you're going to be in trouble. Michelle, right? Look, the Democratic Party, in my never to be humble opinion, and many others, that think way better than I do, the Democratic Party has been lynching, bullying, like that man said, degrading black people for hundreds of years. They give no ounce of care, concern, compassion, whatever word you want to use. They don't care. All they want is power. And again, in my never to be humble opinion, when they take your power, when you give it to them, what do you have to stand on? You all talking about voting. I'm going to vote. Yes, I am going to vote. I'm going to vote unless and until my cold, dead fingers can't do it anymore.
The one weird thing about that, when he initially did it in the room with like the half a dozen young men, they were at Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters in Pennsylvania. So they were already convinced. So that whole thing was him talking to others because maybe he didn't have maybe she doesn't have all of them. Who knows? They work closely with her, so they would know, what she is really like and may be turned off. But Barack Obama was talking to, the nation of black men, but the way he delivered it in a room with people who are probably already committed to the cause was just a little weird.
Okay. Yana, what are your thoughts there?
Well, Barack, he's a Marxist. He's always been a Marxist, and he Marxists, what they do is they use race, ethnicity, class to divide people, and that's what he is using, and that's what Democrats keep using. It's always, what can we fight against? It's not, what we're building. They don't really have specific ideas. It's always Trump is bad, Republicans are bad. It's just like the Bolsheviks were saying, the bourgeoisie is bad, and so we got to fight against it. And then in the end, the people who started this whole revolution, they're the ones who are going to be the bourgeoisie, who's going to be in charge of everyone.
Okay.
Right. And none of them understand that Stalin eventually purged the Bolsheviks also.
Right. I mean, exactly. All the ideologues, all the people who supported the idea and wanted the so-called freedom, eventually they disappear and authoritarian regime ensues.
Yeah, what are your thoughts there, Hotep?
Barack Obama just grifting. The sad part is, the necessity to have Barack Obama step outside and actually put in some time and talk and work with people on the Kamala campaign shows you how bad the Kamala campaign is doing. He's practically on the campaign trail with her. That's sad. And what we saw was black men are disillusioned. Shout out to all my B-Macs in the chat. I see y'all, black men against Kamala. So, we see how he was treating B-Max, right? He was talking all that smack, and then B-Max stepped up and said, bruh, we are disillusioned by the Obamas. We don't care. Barack Obama, first black male president, all of that. We don't care. We've wised up since then. And it showed that they were disillusioned. And you could tell that the campaign is floundering right now, because what did Kamala do? Oh, all of a sudden, I got a plan for black men. They had to get in front of it. That wave of B-Max talking about the Kamala campaign and Obama and that backlash. Oh, they couldn't handle it. It was all over TikTok, Instagram, you name it. So they had to get a hold of it.
Today they rolled out Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. The first black president.
Yeah. And he made a fool of himself.
He made a fool of her.
Yeah, right.
With the immigration policy piece. Yeah.
I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. You do have some B-Max out there, Hotep. Let's see here. Kung Fu CJ, okay, says with a $2 super chat, says, wait till more women wake up to today's Democrats. Yeah, I agree. Art Dog with the $5 super chat says, I'm not a big Trump guy, but I'll vote for a sinner before I'll ever vote for demons. All right.
Thank you, Art.
Calson with the $5 super chat says, B-Max, black men against Kamala are getting loud in these social media streets. All right. Thank you.
Fight.
KJ, can I say one thing real quick?
Absolutely.
I honestly think that Bill Clinton's a smarter politician than to come out and do what he did today. And I think Obama's a smarter politician than to do what he did. I swear to you, I think that they have thrown their lot in with the Getty mob over in California. They're looking forward to 2028. They don't want Gavin Newsom to have to. There's no way Gavin Newsom is going to challenge the first black female president. They're willing to take 4 years off in order to get Newsom in there, and they got to get rid of Kamala. And that's why we're seeing this is by design. From Joe Biden, now Bill Clinton and Barack Obama all throwing her under the bus within a week.
Yeah.
I like this brother right here.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Hotep.
I like this brother right here. That was great analysis.
Yeah,
thank you.
Tyrone, you were talking about Joe Biden. You're right. I think I don't know, in the last couple of days, how he sort of dismissed her at that meeting. He just basically like, wait a minute, I'm still president. So maybe, Yana, you mentioned last week, I think that he's I forget what you said, but basically he's
just angry, and he doesn't care at this point, and he hates Kamala, and he's just gonna say whatever to throw her under the bus. He would put on the MAGA hat if he has to.
She's out here in these streets.
He has done that.
She's out here in these streets.
Yeah. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters. We have some additional ones here. Thank you, Mark, with the $20 super chat. He says, keep educating the masses. Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate you. All right. So Avita, she's part of our Freedom Seekers Club, says, why doesn't anyone talk about the platinum plan? Well, he didn't come out with a platinum plan. Trump didn't come out with a platinum plan this cycle, correct? As far as I know. I mean, we know he had the platinum plan when he was running.
That was in 2020.
2020, right. So yeah, but I think it's kind of intertwined within his new, what was it? It's called Project 64, is it? Well, 47.
47.
Yeah. So, but yeah, good question. All right, so I want to move along here. I want to move on to JD Vance. So he was all over the news media on Sunday, really just surrogating for Trump. And he got into it with not only Martha Raddatz from CBS, but also he was in a really heated conversation with an additional woman here. I want to go with this one first. Take a look at him talking about American jobs. This is clip 5.
About a third of the construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large proportion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary that we need in this country by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. And I'm being sarcastic, of course, in service of a point, Lulu, the assumption that because a large number of home builders now are using undocumented labor, that's the only way to build homes. I think, again,
the country is much bigger. The need is much bigger. I mean, I'm not arguing in favor of illegal immigration. I'm asking how you would deal with the knock-on effect of your proposal to remove millions of people who work in a critical part of the economy.
Well, I think that what you would do is you would take, let's say, for example, the 7 million prime age men who have dropped out of the labor force, and you have a smaller number of women, but still millions of women prime age who have dropped out of the labor force. You absolutely could re-engage folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
to work in construction.
Of course, you could.
I mean, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. Most people
unemployment rate, Lulu, this is important.
But most people who don't work can't work in the regular economy. They're in the military, they're parents, they're sick, they're old. They might not want to work in construction.
The unemployment rate does not count labor force participation dropouts. And again, this is one of the really deranged things that I think illegal immigration does to our society is it gets us in a mindset of saying we can only build houses with illegal immigrants when we have 7 million, just men, not even women, just men who have completely dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. They won't do those jobs for non-living wages. But people will do those jobs. They will just do those jobs at certain wages. And think about this from the perspective of an American company, okay? I want them to go searching in their own country for their own citizens. Sometimes people who may be struggling with addiction or trauma, get them re-engaged in American society.
Wow. So I want to start off with you, Tyrone, on this, because I know this is kind of in your wheelhouse on Soldiers of Finance. I love how she casually said a third of these people are undocumented. Like, that's not a big deal. What are your thoughts on this?
Right. She was definitely arguing in favor of illegal immigration. And remember, when they do that, they are arguing for the establishment of a permanent economic underclass. Okay. So there's a very elitist argument. The unemployment rate is 7.3%. The media always does this. They always cite what's known as the U3 rate, which is the most favorable rate to politicians. But if you look at that Bureau of Labor Statistics report, the U6 rate is the most accurate. And it still probably is a little low, but it's 7.3%. So this rosy picture that they've been painting with unemployment and inflation is totally false. And you've got a lot of Americans that are displaced. There was this guy who stood up and challenged John McCain because he made that same claim. Well, Americans won't do these jobs. And the guy said, hey, if you pay me the prevailing wage for the job, okay, then sure, I'll do it. I'll go out and I'll engage in agricultural harvesting or whatever. Can you commit to paying me the real wage? And McCain, in his cantankerous fashion, tried to, just basically ignore what the guy was saying. That's the argument here. It's the same thing. This policy of unbridled immigration does two things. It seeks to establish a permanent economic underclass, and it exposes women and girls to horrific treatment in terms of making that track illegally. Okay. It's not going to happen if you show up at an official border crossing. But when you are bringing women and girls across the Darien Gap, the Rio Grande, into the desert, they are subjected to horrific treatment. So remember those two things and put that back on these people who want to pretend like this is no big deal. Lastly, I'll make this quick. They're promising, they need economic asylum, right? So I have a nephew who was incarcerated and is now no longer incarcerated. Where does he go for economic asylum? Where does he go to reestablish himself and become a productive member of our society? Now, he's got to do it, okay? But the promise of economic asylum in a country where we've got Americans sleeping on the street, this is just crazy to me.
His comments were very pro-America, and that's what we need more of. And it's like every time I see these interviews in the left, all they're talking is about everybody else and not people who need help, who need assistance, who need work right here in our country. I know you have to go, Hotep. Last words from you on this, please.
You gonna make me go after him? After he just tore it down like that, what am I supposed to say? I ain't got nothing left to say. He done killed it.
I know you. I'm sorry. I didn't think you had to go.
He ain't leave nothing left on the bone on that one. Damn,
yeah.
You got guests here too, man. I gotta add something to the conversation, man. I mean, I think he hit on everything there. He nailed every single point. These people consistently contradict themselves. It's all about women, 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 until it's a coyote coming across the border, and it's like, oh, I didn't see that. They just turn into Stevie Wonder, like, what's going on here? Absolutely hypocritical. But I remember being a young kid, and my first job was a blue collar job, and that was my favorite job that I ever had. Okay. Blue collar job. I worked for the Department of Public Works, and I was a spoiled kid who grew up with a white collar mother and a blue collar father. So I tried to stay away from blue collar work as much as possible because it took me on all the job sites. So I was just sick of it. I just wanted to sit in the office. I thought that was cool, right? But when I got a taste of that blue collar work, I was like, oh, this is it right here. This is great. You wake up at 6 a.m., you off work at 3. You got the rest of the day to yourself. You gaining muscle. You know what I mean? You've been working all day. So now you look good. You feel good. And I think there's a lot more brothers out there that, if given the right exposure, because you got to remember, there's been a lot of marketing. There was a lot of marketing to make college look sexy, to make white collar jobs look sexy, that brainwashed my generation and the generations thereafter to prefer those jobs. And we haven't followed Booker T. Washington's way. He said, before we send kids to college, we got to give them a trade. HVAC, electrician, something of that nature, carpenter, something, plumbing, moving to that. So you have a real actual skill. I was on a job site with my dad. I have real blue collar skills. I could go work on a construction site right now and be good. You know what I'm saying? But I think if they, stop marketing, go to HBCU, go to the university and say, go to trade school, then maybe people would go to trade school and you wouldn't need the illegal immigrant. But again, this is them, acting like there's a problem that can't be fixed. If a third of the labor force left, you're telling me that nobody's signing up for them jobs? No, the truth of the matter is nobody's signing up for them jobs at that wage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what you basically saying is black men are smart because I'm not going to take that job below what I'm supposed to get paid. So you say we're lazy, but really I say we're smart because we know what we're worth. So that's all I got to add to the conversation.
No, yeah, that was really good. I agree. I totally agree. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
I was going to say, Hotep, you had to leave. Where can people find you?
HotepJesus.com. I got I do a podcast at 10 p.m. with Unc on Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep's been told you. But go to my website, HotepJesus.com. The front banner gonna say Kick. I'm live on Kick 2 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. Come hang out with me. I do comedy, I do stand-up. We got the Men of Water supplements popping. Go to HotepJesus.com, get into them. I'm in crypto, I'm in finance. I gotta talk to soldiers of finance too, because I'm in crypto. So we're gonna jive. But HotepJesus.com.
I'll make sure that I get your information from KJ and she can give you my information.
All right, say less. You on X?
Right, thanks for coming.
I am on at Real SOF.
Real SOF. I'm about to follow you right now.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you, y'all. I had a great time, man. Y'all are amazing, man. Y'all are really dope. I really like this podcast. Shelly was going off. I was like, yo, who the hell is Shelly? How come I ain't never met no Shelly before?
Shelly, she's a force.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, nah, keep it up. Keep it up. Y'all got my support, man. Let me know whatever y'all need. If y'all want to do another cast one day where I got more time, we could do it, man. I'm there.
Absolutely.
The Real SOF one. The Real SOF one.
Got you.
Okay. All right. All right. We're going to keep it moving. So I definitely want to get your we have to get your opinion on this, Shelly, what we were just talking about.
Two quick things. I noticed that woman, I forget her name, the journalist. I don't know if she meant to, but it doesn't surprise me if she did. So ultimately, she's supporting low-wage workers, right? She's supporting exploiting these illegals for the sake of having, her fancy homes and whatever estates built. So that doesn't matter as long as she can get the cheap labor. That's okay. But that Black people or other Americans won't work for those low wages, that's something wrong. Like I think, like Hotep was just saying, that it's interesting how these elitists, how they just overlook. They have blinders on when it comes to the things that they actually do. They can speak a lot, they can say a lot of stuff, but what they actually do is they are blind to their own ways. That's number one. Number two, if I heard her correctly, she lumped the military in there with the unemployed. The last I checked, military people have skills. They actually work. They get training. They actually work. They contribute to the local economies or wherever they may be. They actually work. So maybe Tyrone, you can help me understand that. But I think she casually did that. And military members have, sacrificed a lot to, particularly when they travel out of the country, when they work overseas, they sacrifice a lot. So she casually threw that in there to me. And I think that was overlooked by a lot of people.
Well, she's indicative of the media in general and politicians who do not understand to a great degree macroeconomics. I mean, they just don't. And I've always said that if you win a primary election, you should then have to go and take a college level macroeconomics course and come out of that course with at least a B. Otherwise, you can win in the general if you want. You will not be certified to take office. Okay. How we are allowing people with no macroeconomic acumen to be in charge of billion and multi-billion-dollar budgets, even at the city level, it's beyond me, but it also, the proof is in the pudding of how fouled up America is right now from a fiscal and monetary standpoint.
Yeah. Yana, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I actually have a lot of kind of conflicting thoughts about the interview. Of course, the lady interviewer totally promoted illegal immigration. It's the same kind of argument when they say What are you going to do? Who's going to clean your toilets? Like that's the same kind of argument, and it's very demeaning to people who are coming in here, and also towards immigrants in general. However, when Vance is talking about how, well, housing, the wages have to be higher. I mean, technically, if you do that, then the housing prices will go up. I mean, it's natural. So in a way, when you look at it from a libertarian perspective, um, illegal immigration does drive our prices down. And I'm not saying that it should be happening, that illegal immigration should be happening. It makes me think about wages in general, and um, minimum wage, because I actually don't think there should be minimum wage. I also don't think there should be government programs um, that are like welfare, and that people just live off of for years and years. And that could be one of the reasons why these people who are Americans do not go for certain jobs, because they're comfortable receiving whatever food stamps and whatever else, or housing assistance that they're getting. And immigrants, or people who have literally no even working papers to be here, they end up taking whatever jobs available. So actually, ideally, I would want to see everyone taking whatever jobs available. But for that to happen, there has to be some kind of, push. That you have to feel that you're not comfortable unless you do that. And when Hotep mentioned, well, he said something about people being smart and not taking those kind of jobs. Well, I know people from other countries that come here, and I'm talking about those that did not have papers to be here originally. They end up having a house, buying a house within a few years of being here. And we have Americans who.
Yeah, but what you're saying, that kind of contradicts what you said, because that's why, again, with the illegal immigration, it drives up the cost of housing, because you have these people who either buy the homes when they come here and they're illegal, or they're getting government assistance to buy
No,
homes.
I'm not. No,
Doesn't
they
that increase the
shouldn't be
demand?
getting government assistance. Absolutely
Who are
not.
they for? Because if Americans are not buying homes because the interest is too high, and who are they building homes for? Are they building homes for themselves? Because we see a lot of American, businesses, hotels being used to house all of these millions of people, illegal 8 million plus people. So who are they building homes for? And if they drive down the cost of homes, are the materials cheaper? Do Americans want those types of homes? So there's still other, like, macroeconomic, to use Tyrone's word, macroeconomic factors. I don't care that they drive the costs down. The quality also matters, and it also matters who can afford to buy them. And if you don't have a job, if your wages are not keeping up with inflation, then you're still not going to be able to maintain your home.
I was just saying that Vance, he won the argument, absolutely. I mean, but it's more of a complex issue, and definitely the illegal immigration has to stop, but also any sort of government assistance should stop. And
Here's
then
the
we
thing.
will have prices and prices dropping, and also more people working.
Here's the thing. Houses are selling. In fact, there's a housing shortage in America. That's what makes Kamala Harris's idea to give people 25. Now it's a tax credit. It turned from $25,000 to a $25,000 tax credit. But it makes no sense to do that in an environment where there's a housing shortage. That's one of the reasons why housing prices are so expensive, is because it's just the law of supply and demand kicking in general, especially here in the mid-Atlantic. Houses are selling. In terms of general inflation, now some inflation is natural. Okay, so you're going to have some inflation, but the 21% inflation that we have seen cumulatively since Biden took office is not natural. It is a manifestation of government spending, okay, gone wild. You put money out on the street, there's more of it available, then there's going to be more competition for fewer goods. Supply and demand is going to kick in and drive prices of everything up. That's what we're witnessing. And correspondingly, we are not seeing an increase in wages. Okay, wages are lagging far behind real inflation. So to the extent that we can put the brakes on spending, okay, stop giving Vladimir Zelensky billions of dollars every time he snaps his fingers. Push him into a situation where he has to negotiate with Putin, okay, and stop this war. Okay, stop funding both sides of what's going on in the Middle East. Send the State Department over there instead of more weapons. Our spending problem is hurting America. And to the extent that we can stop spending so frivolously, we will see a decrease in the acceleration of inflation.
Hello?
We see you.
Okay.
I thought what I said was so impactful that everybody was just like, all right, we'll see you next week. On
No. I think I'm having some. Was I lagging or is
no, not to me. You weren't.
Okay. I did catch what you said, and I agree. I agree with what you're saying. So I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about, because today is a federal holiday. It is Columbus Day. So it's sort of Columbus Day. Some people call it Indigenous Peoples Day. But it is a federal holiday. For many, many years, we called it Columbus Day. But some, especially within the Native American communities, have argued to change the focus of the holiday, in part because of the bloodshed the Italian explorer left behind. So here is Kamala Harris. Now, this is actually back in 2021, but it's gone viral today, because it's Columbus Day and because she is currently running for office. Here is Kamala Harris talking about Columbus. Take a look. This is clip 7.
It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as we speak truth about our nation's history. Since 1934, every October, the United States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas. But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story. Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease. We must not shy away from this shameful past, and we must shed light on it and do everything we can to address the impact of the past on Native communities today.
All right. So before we get in, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Guys, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate all that you guys are doing to help us out tonight. Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat says credit has something to do with it also. So he's talking about the homes and things. Donald Brown with the $11 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, I love the show. Good topic. P.S. Hi, Shelly. You are a pop star.
Hi, Donald. Hi, Donald. Right. Thank you.
Kinsey 14 with the $5 super chat says, now legal immigrants who undercut U.S. citizen jobs are now being undercut by illegal immigrants. Okay. Can't make this up. All right. Yeah, that's true. So I want to get back into this Columbus Day thing, because this has been kind of a big issue. I want to start off with you, Shelley. What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris as being, she may be the next president, and what are your thoughts on what she just said?
First of all, she should be the last person to talk about the whole truth, okay? Because she still has not given us the truth about her campaign, anything she says and comes forth in all these interviews. All we know are dreams, aspirations, and ambitions, okay? So that's number one. Number two, in that clip, I think if it goes on further, she referenced a little bit about the Columbus and his team, if you will, his people spreading disease and the indigenous people, all these diseases. That lie has been debunked. Were there diseases that were spread? Absolutely. But it was not intentional. It was largely unintentional because they came from Europe with their own diseases and they brought them to the New World. Not only that, you never hear about the side from these people who claim to be telling the truth. You never hear how many of the indigenous tribes were open and welcome and the gospel was shared to these people. So you don't hear about all of that. Ultimately, in my thinking, what this is a whitewashing of history, and they want to make Christians and Christianity look bad. That's ultimately what they want to do.
All right. And before I get you in on this, Yana, I do want to acknowledge another super chatter here. All right. We have Ren Button with the 1999 super chat. Says, doesn't matter how many dollars we get paid if the government keeps devaluing the dollars every chance they get. Minimum wage means nothing without the economic common sense to add values to our dollar. All right, Ren. Thank you so much. Very good comment there. We have another one here. Brony James, Master Bricklayer with the $5 super chat. Ooh, I wonder if that's really Brony. Says, I never understood how anyone could vote Democrat because supporting LGBTQIA plus, everything else in between religion and baby killing are a one-way ticket to eternity with Lucifer. Best comment of the night, Brony. All right. Kung Fu CJ, he is part of our Freedom Seeker Club. Guys, if you haven't enrolled, we have a Freedom Seeker Club here where we send out content for members only. You get special emojis and all kinds of stuff. So certainly support us by joining our Freedom Seekers Club. He says, get them, Shelly. All right. So what are your thoughts on this Columbus Day debate, Yana?
Well, I just want to add to what Shelley said. For example, Hernan Cortez is the person who he came after Columbus once he found out that there's also land here. And he led a conquest of Mexico, which also is basically a big chunk of it is now the United States. And his army was 99% native. His army was 99% like Mayan, and they were going against the Aztecs. So it's much more complex than these people who are just trying to discredit everything that happened in those times, and they just want to pin, the Europeans against the natives. And how is that helping our country, really? How is that helping the unity of this country? In fact, if we keep pushing for this narrative, I don't have much hope for this country if we're going to really militarize kind of the native population of people who feel this way against those who are here from other lands. So it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Every country in the world has this kind of history, literally, especially if it's a powerful country. I mean, my country where I came from, that's why it's so big and powerful, is because we've traveled from place to place and we colonized the land. Why is Russia mostly Asia? Because Asian people conquered parts of Russia, and then Russia fought back and conquered more of their lands. That's just how it works.
Yeah. What about you, Tyrone?
As Yana said, history is complex. Okay, this is what we as humans do. Okay, we go in, and if we see resources somewhere, we try to acquire those resources. Usually, it starts off with trying to do it via negotiation, but it turns usually into conquest at some point. You've got even countries that are not superpowers have a history of this. Look at what the Zulus did to the Khoisan in the South African region. Okay, and the Zulus rule today. The ANC is Zulu, but Nelson Mandela was a Zulu. So this is what happens now. For anyone who has consternation about how this works and feels, really, really badly about it, like Kamala Harris maybe, she can go to the well of the Senate tomorrow and establish a bill that will return the Capitol, the Naval Observatory, the White House to the Anacostia tribe of Native Americans. It's easy. I always encourage people, if you got a problem living on stolen land, go down to the state, the municipality, get you a deed and just sign it off. Find the Native American and just sign it over to them. Okay, it's that easy. Don't speak about it, be about it.
You're right. And not only that, but we're finding that a lot of this is coming from communists and Marxists. A big one was Howard Zinn, and he wrote, the People's History, which kind of talked about Christopher Columbus and talked about how, they painted, America as evil. He painted it darkly, an evil nation, and how Christopher Columbus was, a terrible person, and so on and so forth. And many of the things that he wrote about were factually incorrect. He missed the research that he did, what little research that he actually did has been proven to be misinformed. It's almost like they did with Charlottesville and Trump, where they take something that was a historical fact and then they push it out and change the whole context and meaning behind it. But we've seen, because this man, he sold 2.5 million copies of this book and has been really popular with celebrities and on college campuses. I believe he was a professor at Spelman. They get intertwined within these communities and these places and push these lies. So not only is this a situation where it's, again, in human history, you can either conquer or you're to conquered, but they lie about this stuff. They lie about it.
And brown woman speak with forked tongue. I'm talking about Kamala because, look, you can't lament the Second Amendment, okay? Reject that and then feel sorry for the natives who apparently were not able to repel effectively the foreign invaders, okay? So you got to be on one side or the other. You can't sit on the fence. I am hearing that Tim Walz might be a fence sitter right on the post, as a matter of fact. But more is coming out. More and more is coming out about that. But look, you can't be mad at the Second Amendment and then also say, "Oh, look what happened." The Europeans came over and they just took over. Because if you've given the natives an equivalent amount of firepower, hey, we got military equipment named after these tribes because they were so efficient and effective at warfare. So just imagine if they had been able to match the Europeans in firepower.
Right, exactly. And not only that, but if you think about it, you're talking about Kamala Harris and she's saying all this stuff about stolen land. So what is it if we did give it back to are we giving it to the Comanches? Are we giving it to the Apaches? Right. They were stealing each other's land before we got
all fighting one another. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. But this is what
it's total mess. It's just, it is Marxism, like you said, KJ. It's just to cause more division and animosity towards one group. I mean, literally, I would say that's racist. She is talking about white people, Europeans, and how, your native people or not white people supposed to be hating Europeans for this because they came here.
Yeah. Sorry, someone mentioned in the comments about, I think they were talking about this book, The American Story, by the Bartons, the Barton brothers. It's a really historical account, but it's really easy to read. That one of the things is, like you mentioned, Howard Zinn. Howard Zinn was if not still, the biggest bookseller to most, if not all, public school districts across the country. So for decades, public school students were inundated with his version, if you will, his writing. And of course, now even more so, there's really no competition. So you're not to others who have presented more information, more facts, things that counter even what Zen or the progressive narrative is. So now students are not even being given the opportunity to even think, if you will, beyond whatever designated books that they have assigned to them.
Yeah, exactly. So we will continue to follow this story and see where this goes. We will be back, guys, on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We are hearing, or it's been reported, that Kamala Harris is set to do an interview on Fox with Bret Baier. So I am waiting for that, and we will be ready to respond to that on Wednesday night. I hear that it's set for 6 p.m. on Wednesday is the interview. So we'll be on immediately after. So folks, final thoughts. I think I'm having some system errors here. Tyrone, where can people find you?
Soldiers of Finance on YouTube. We got a lot of good stuff coming out this week, so check us out.
All right. And Yana, any final thoughts for the audience?
Just don't be divided. Love your neighbor and get ready to vote very soon.
Yeah, very soon. Shelley, final thoughts.
I just want to remind everybody, don't forget our event on Friday. We still have a few tickets left. Get your tickets. The producer is going to put the link up. It's 18th, 7 p.m. right here in Baltimore at the Old Major Bar and Lounge, or Lounge and Bar. Come on out, get your tickets, and hear some great speakers, some motivation, encouragement, some informed speakers telling us about what's going on election, but how we can tie some of these things together. So we'll see you on Friday.
And KJ, one last word. We're getting near Halloween. People, don't be fooled. The dead love to vote Democrat. If you see them coming up out of those cemeteries, report it immediately. Okay?
Right, that's right. All right. Well, that does it for us. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. What are you waiting for? Subscribe to our channel. Let's start a community, or continue to build on the community that we are pushing forward. Subscribe. That way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post, and we appreciate the support. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night. Hey, Poppin' Politics family, we did it. We just hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting our movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. We're excited to share that we're launching a new project we can't wait to talk about on the show. It's something really special, but it's a bit too big for us to handle all on our own, and we'd love your help. This opportunity is all about meaningful remote work that fits into your life. Think of it as a flexible side gig. It pays well, but more importantly, it's a chance to make a real difference in America alongside us. We're looking for individuals who have a great work ethic, a big heart, and a friendly spirit. You must live in the US or Canada, be at least 18 years old, and have a computer or tablet and a phone to help make this project a success. If this sounds like something you'd be a good fit for, join us for a Zoom meeting on Saturday, October 19th. Here are the times. Now, I'm in the Eastern time zone, so it's 12 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific. We have limited seats available, so be sure to grab your spot. The link is in the description below. We can't wait to connect with you. Register now before it fills up.